Most people work their entire lives for money, and die without understanding it. We get up as the sun barely rises. We do our shift. We go home. We repeat the ritual in a cycle that feels endless. From the outside, the image is one of order, a job, a home, the bills paid. It's the illusion of stability. But if you look closely, there's a silent repetition, a weariness that comes with the certainty that, despite all the effort, you never truly move forward. Does this feeling sound familiar? It's the voice that tells you that the time you give away in exchange for a salary isn't giving you back freedom, but an endless calendar of obligations. It's the feeling that your life is a countdown that always reaches zero just before the next paycheck arrives. It's not your fault. The truth is, no one was ever taught to make money work for them. We were trained to work for it. And that difference, subtle yet brutal, is the origin of the cage. Today I want to invite you to a small but powerful thought experiment. Imagine your life without the obligation to rush for money every month. Close your eyes for a moment and answer honestly, what would you do with your time if a salary weren't an absolute necessity? Some would say, travel, others, write a book, some would paint or create a business out of passion. Many, for the first time in their adult lives, would dedicate unhurried time to the relationships that truly matter, to that long-awaited conversation with a loved one, to playing without a clock with their children. This image isn't an unattainable luxury. It's a possible reality, but it doesn't come from a stroke of luck or from earning more to spend more. It comes from a profound revolution in your relationship with money. We were sold a story from childhood: study, get a good job, buy, pay, repeat. That's the long version they called stability. The short version, which traps you, is the rat race. And here comes the most uncomfortable truth: the rat race doesn't discriminate based on salary. It traps you through your choices, not your income. I've seen executives with astronomical salaries drowning in debt for choosing glamour over stability, and I've seen people with modest incomes live with enviable serenity because they chose differently. They chose peace over luxury. True freedom isn't a bank balance with a stack of zeros. It's when your decisions aren't conditioned, hijacked, by the need to pay the next bill. Freedom is the day your passive income, generated by your investments and assets, is enough to cover your essential expenses. It's the finish line where money ceases to be the master and becomes the servant. The first great revolution is mental. Before touching a single number, you must change the mindset you've been carrying around. Money isn't bad. It isn't dirty. It isn't what defines your worth as a person. It's simply a tool. Think about this: a tool used well multiplies your work and your life, a tool used poorly destroys it. Discipline isn't punishment, nor is it motivation that appears out of thin air. Discipline is the silent promise you make to yourself when you remember your purpose. It's remembering what you said you would do, even when the desire has faded. The key question I leave you with is this: are you willing to temporarily live as others refuse to live, in order to later live as others cannot? This is the pact. It's the exchange of instant gratification for lasting freedom. If this is making you reflect on your own career, subscribe now. Here we share real strategies, not empty promises. Turn on notifications, because what's coming next might change the way you think about your own finances. Now, let's get down to business. We've shifted our mindset, it's time to use the tools. I propose an exercise in brutal honesty, the 30-day trace. For 1 month, record, note, and categorize everything you spend. Every coffee, every subscription, every delivery order, every taxi ride. Don't do it to judge yourself, do it to see with surgical clarity where your financial energy is leaking away. You'd be surprised by the hemorrhage of micropayments. The forgotten subscription, the repeated lunch at the office, the daily craving. I remember the story of a young woman who did this and discovered that $200 a month was seeping into invisible expenses. That small cut, that freed up capital, became her first investment fund. A year later, that money had transformed into the initial capital to launch her first digital business, ensuring her income no longer depended exclusively on her job. With that data in hand, we applied a simple yet powerful architecture, the 50-30-20 model. 50% needs, the essentials for living. 30% wants, life, leisure, enjoyment. 20% savings and investment, paying off your future self. But don't leave it to chance. Assign a name to every dollar. Zero allocation is the masterstroke. Every penny that comes in has a destination before you can even touch it. And the most important part, automate. Schedule transfers. Make paying off your future self happen on payday. If you don't feel it, if it's not automatic, temptation will win. Now, the part that transforms sacrifice into true freedom, investing. Saving is defense, investing is offense. Compound interest is not a myth, it's a silent force of nature in finance. What you sow today can become a monumental harvest if you give it the secret ingredient, time. Look at these numbers, $100 a month, invested at 10% annually, for 20 years. It's not magic, it's consistency. What in simple savings would be $24,000, through the power of time and reinvestment, transforms into more than $75,000. You don't need a monstrous starting capital. Today there are index funds, ETFs that democratize the market, fractional assets. The key is, diversify, understand the risk, and above all, maintain discipline. Set aside that 20% and give it a clear purpose, a portion for your emergency fund, low risk, liquid, the majority for long-term investments, like index funds, and a very small portion for ideas that you can truly understand and closely monitor. The real vulnerability is absolute dependence on a single source of income. Your goal is to build a stronghold with multiple walls, active and passive income streams. Don't sell hours, sell solutions. If you're a talented professional, package your expertise. Turn it into a high-value service or a digital product, a course, an ebook, a content channel that generates subscriptions. Create something that generates income while you sleep. Start in parallel. Don't make the mistake of quitting before that alternative income stream is real, verifiable, and sustainable. Jeff Bezos didn't leave his job based solely on faith, he did so when the evidence, the numbers, told him the project could sustain itself. Building without a safety net is risking the house you've just built with so much effort. Your first shield, an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months worth of fixed expenses covered. It must be liquid, kept in a separate account, and inaccessible to temptation. Your second shield, smart insurance. Health, property, and liability insurance. These aren't a luxury, they're a safety net that prevents a single unforeseen event, a single tragedy, from destroying years of financial discipline. During the pandemic, those with this protection weathered the storm. Those without fell into the abyss of debt that will take a decade to repay. If you've never opened an emergency account, do it today. $20. An automatic transfer. Start building the habit. Habits and discipline are nurtured by your environment. We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. If your conversations revolve only around expenses, complaints, and the struggle to make ends meet, your change will be slow. If you surround yourself with people who learn, start businesses, invest, and share resources, your progress will be rapid and inevitable. Read. Listen to podcasts. Trade hours of passive entertainment for audiobooks that teach you how to build. It's not about becoming obsessive about money, but about being intentional. People like Oprah Winfrey or Chris Gardner started from absolute poverty. It wasn't luck, it was a conscious choice. They understood that constant education, iron discipline, and the right environment are the triad of success. I want to tell you about Anna, a 28-year-old teacher. She tracked her expenses and was surprised. Her monthly dinners out totaled more than her projected monthly savings. Cutting back wasn't a sacrifice, it was an act of prioritization. With the freed-up money, she invested in an online course to specialize. A year later, she sells high-value private lessons in addition to her job. Her income no longer depends on a single source. And about Luis, a mechanical technician, who started by investing just $50 a month in an ETF. He didn't become a millionaire overnight, but after 12 years, that habit, that consistency, allowed him to say yes when his company offered to reduce his work hours. Freedom came to him in small, but powerful, repeated acts. Financial freedom isn't a place you arrive at by accident. It's the result of conscious decisions, day after day. It's the sum of small actions, measuring, planning, investing, protecting, and surrounding yourself with the right people. It's not about how much you earn. It's about what you keep, how you allocate it, and the people who accompany you on the path to the top. If this video moved you, like it, share it with someone you know needs to hear this truth, and subscribe. And turn on notifications. Comment below, what's your biggest challenge with money today? I'll read it and prepare practical content for your needs. Money doesn't give you power, it only reveals how much you had inside before you had it. Invest in yourself, in your habits, in your time. Because true wealth, the only wealth that really matters, is the time you can call your own.